Hello, merry meet. So today I want to review a tarot deck. And the deck I want to review is this one, Thelema Tarot. It's by, what's her name? Renata Lechner. And I am actually, is it that's published this? The publisher and such always, it's Los Caribbean, I imagine so. This publisher's name always slipped my mind. Anyway, this is a very pretty deck, and let's start with the box. I really like the presentation here with the little gold lettering, the picture, and also this is a fairly sturdy box, meaning it will last you for a while. I generally prefer to keep my decks in their boxes rather than in a tarot bag, because when throwing it in my purse or something like that, the cards are much more protected in a box than they are in a bag, because they will be moving around in that bag. Oh yeah, I can say that the top perhaps comes off a little bit too easy. This is not one of those I would throw in my bag because it comes off. But other than that, the packaging gets top scores. So in here, the cards are collected in this little drawer of such. So let's start with the little white book, or in this case, the somewhat bigger greenish blue book. So yes, and it even has some color images. Class all the way. Let's see here. We have, but of course, like with all Los Caribbean, don't think that you're getting this thick a little book. No, because there are 5 languages as usual. English, Italian, Spanish, French, and Dutch. And yes, you have a little introduction to what the cards are. A little bit of introduction to this particular deck. And then we have some card meanings. But for a Los Caribbean white book, each card gets a fairly good section, as you can see here, with it being a couple of little paragraphs each. Now, of course, you would still do well with getting an actual tarot book, but it will do you fairly well. Let's have a look further in here. And yes, as you can see, the Lesser Arcana is also fairly well described. Did this one have a layout? I can't remember. Let's see. Yeah, it does. It has the Thelema spread, which is then uses Crowley symbol, a very stylized version of a hexagram, which is basically the symbol of Thelema as a basis for the layout, and it's a pretty good layout. And I have to say that always when I look at that, I have to think of Yu-Gi-Oh! I know it's horrible, but I do. Anyway, so the little white book has a pretty good passing grade. You would still need a decent tarot book when starting the tarot, but you could get by with this. You could actually get this deck for someone as a gift, and they can get by with this little white book. So yeah, moving on to the cards themselves, because now I've spent almost 5 minutes yapping about the box and the book. So, what do we have here? We have some advertisement. There we go, and some, yes, a title card. And here we have the cards themselves. I think they look very beautiful in some ways. However, as you can see, they are made on a computer and they sort of mixes photographs and drawings. And that's not everybody's cup of tea. Symbol-wise, they are pretty good. There's quite a bit of symbolism here. So you can definitely, this is definitely a good deck for readings. Now, something that people have to be aware of is that Crowley has absolutely nothing to do with this deck. It is somebody who likes his system that has created this deck. This is not a new version of the Thoth Tarot. The Thoth Tarot is a lot more complicated. A lot of people do not recommend it for beginners because, first of all, it doesn't have the classical 78 cards. It has 2 extra editions. But the symbolism also, well, it comes from the same source as the Rider-Waite deck and the decks that's inspired by Waite's. It's somewhat complicated. I said that you should probably be able to wrap your head around it anyway, but yes, it is. This is not that, but it is somewhat inspired by it. And yeah, and I definitely think that you do not have to be a ritual magician using Crowley's system to use this deck. It is pretty fairly standard tarot fare for Western, American, English and American strain of tarot. You have basically in Europe, you have several basically strains of tarot and things that, and basically the family trees of them. So you have the Italian strain that is pretty close with the French one. Then you have the English and later American one that is its own thing. And then you have the Thoth Tarot as a little bit of an add-on to that. I might make a video about these family trees of tarot at some point if anybody is interested. Anyway, like I said, it's pretty standard fare. If you have been working with any Rider-Waite deck, you should probably be able to feel right at home here. And I would say that, yeah, it's a pretty standard deck. The symbolism is nice though, and if this is the kind of imagery that you have a tendency to like or not, if you have a problem with the computer-generated images and images that very often mixes photographs and drawings, then this is not the deck for you. If you do not have a problem with that, then this should do just fine. I really like the colors of this deck, and it's definitely a deck I can see myself using for actual divination. I also like that there are no lot of excessive borders. Here you have only this little line that says the name of the card, and that's pretty good. It gives a lot more space for the card itself. There is one issue though that you should be aware of before buying this deck, and that is that if you want that line gone, it is not easy to trim. Here's the back of it. I think this is very, very, very pretty. However, if you trim that, then the back will be very uneven. So it's not easy to trim off that little line, and a lot of people will be disturbed by that very green line with the title card. I actually think it would have looked a lot prettier if they had skipped that line. It's not a main concern. Like I said, closer look of the back here. Very, very pretty. We can have Crowley's star there. And it is a hexagram. It's just another way to draw a hexagram. So, yes. The cardstock quality is passable. It is not awesome, but it's not horrible either. The cards have a very waxy, very shiny finish, so do expect the cards to be very fond of one another for the first few times that you shuffle this, they will stick to one another because it is very shiny, very glossy. But yes, I have no main really concerns with this deck. It's a pretty good one. Like I said, it all depends on if this is the kind of art style that you like. Because if you do, then this is definitely a pretty deck. So we are into the minor arcana here. I don't think I have time to show you absolutely everything in this deck, but show you a few more cards. As you can see, every card is fully illustrated, and it is illustrated quite beautifully. Now, to be honest, I too would have preferred them to not have the mix of drawings and photographs. I would say either do photographs. Basically, it would actually be quite awesome to have a deck based on photos. Yes, with a bit of a touch up here and there. So either do that or do it as full drawings, but it is not so much of an issue for me that I can't connect with the deck at all. I actually think it is quite pretty. As for how much similar to the Toast deck it is, you can clearly see it is inspired by it, but it is definitely its own thing. We also know some cups here. Let's have a look at some other suits. Some pentacles. So yeah, I have no really big complaints with this deck. The only thing that I could possibly think of is this line here that sort of is a bit disturbing, and it's very, very hard to get rid of. For if you trim it, you screw up the back. Other than that, this is a pretty good quality deck. And yeah, like I said, because it's so glossy and so waxy, the shuffle feel will not be great the first few times you use it. But as you use it and the cards get tiny little scratches and such, the ones in this deck are very pretty. As you can see how easy it is to... Well, here is me on the card. Because the camera is there. It shines into it. If you get it in. Hi. Yes. Yes, I at times are 5 years old. But anyway, like I said, it's so glossy. It's so incredibly glossy that you need to get some little bit of scratches on it before the shuffle feel will be great. But you can solve that problem by just sitting down and shuffling the deck while watching a movie or something. At some point when you sit down to watch a movie or a YouTube video or a TV show or whatever it is you're watching, just bring out the deck and just shuffle it. Because that will create those little tiny little blemishes that will make the cards far more easier to work with. So they could have been a little bit more restrictive on the glossiness factor, but yeah, any complaints I have here is minor things. It's tiny little gripes, generally easy to fix. So it's all come down to, do you like this art style or not? Because I know there's a lot of people that just cannot stand things that looks like this, where you mix photographs and drawings, and I can definitely understand that, right? But I mean, that's the art. That's not a flaw with the deck. That's just the art style of it. It has lots of good symbolism. It is pretty decent quality both on the deck, the little white book, cardstock quality, all of it, and it is presented very nicely in a pretty good box. So yeah, this is a pretty good product. I would give it 8 out of 10. And yeah, it's a pretty... I would actually recommend this as a pretty good gift because of how nicely it's presented. But again, like I said, if you're going to give it to someone as a gift, make sure that's the kind of artwork they like, because there's a lot of people that can't stand it. And then, of course, this would be sort of a waste. Well, that is my review of the Thelema Tarot by the artwork is by Renata Lechner. So yeah, hope you have enjoyed this review. Have a great day, and blessed be.